Hello students, today we're going to be solving multi-step equations. So before we can do that, and we're also going to be going from context, so that means some word problems too. Before we can do anything, we need to make sure we can do these 4 things, okay? First is combining like terms. We need to make sure that we know we have it down that like things go together. So notice all of my yellow highlighted have an X, while my red highlighted do not have an X. So the yellow go together and the red go together. But I cannot squish it any further from that point. Okay? This is as simplified as I can go because I don't know what X is yet. So I can't combine them. Next is distributing. I know we've talked about distributing a little bit, but let's talk a little bit more. Distributing is a form of multiplication. I am multiplying this 4 by the parentheses, which means everything in the parentheses needs to be multiplied by 4. So what happens is we have 4 times 8x minus, well, it'd be, minus 4 times 3z, plus 4 times 7. And then I would simplify. So 4 times 8 is 32x, negative 12z, plus 28. Okay, solving one-step equations, that means it takes one inverse operation. Notice that my x right now is currently being divided by 3. My inverse operation for division is multiplying by 3. So I need to multiply by 3 on both sides. That cancels out the 3's on my left, and I'm left with x all alone equals 45 times 3, which is 135. Now let's one-up ourselves. That was one-step equation solving two-step equations. Okay, I need to get rid of what's furthest away from the h first. So everything on this side of the equal sign, everything on this side of my line, needs to move away. It is easiest always to get rid of what's furthest away first. So I'm going to subtract the 11 from both sides. 11 minus 11 is 0. So that's what the z is for. It goes away. I'm left with 2h equals 10. And then 2h is the same as 2 times h. I'm going to undo multiplication by dividing. The 2's cancel out, and I'm left with h equals 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay, we've been doing stuff like this on bell work. We've been doing stuff like this since day 1 of school. I feel like this should be just a really quick review, but we need all of this stuff for the rest of today. So here we go. How to solve multi-step equations. They are going to start looking like this, and they're going to get a bit scarier from here as well. But the steps remain the same. Step 1, the steps will always remain the same from here on out. Step 1 is distribute. Okay, if I have parentheses and I have something directly next to the parentheses, I need to distribute. Okay, so I've got 6x, negative 3x times x is going to be minus 3x. Negative 3 times positive 6 is going to be negative 18 equals 42. Note this part, let's highlight it. Remember, the operation stays with this number it's in front of, so that's why I was multiplying negative 3 instead of just 3. Okay. Next step is combine like terms. So I see in here I've got a 6x and I have a 3x, and they need to be squished together. 6 minus 3, notice it's going to be minus because the 3 is negative. 6 minus 3 is 3. And then from here, this should look like what we know. Okay, so we are going to do step 3, which is move the constant term. Constant is one of your vocabulary words. It means the number that does not have an x. So this 18, notice the 18 is subtracted. So I'm going to apply my inverse operation, which the opposite or the inverse of subtracting is adding. So we're going to add 18 to both sides, and 42 plus 18 gets me 60 equals 3x. And then step 4 is, so I've completed step 3. Step 4 is get the variable alone by applying another inverse operation. So if I had to put it simply, I'm simplifying in step 1 and 2, and then I'm getting x alone in step 3 and 4. My inverse operation, remember 3 is being multiplied by x, so that means I need to do the opposite, which is divide. 3's cancel out, x equals 20. 20 is what I would put into delta math. Yeah, you're done. Okay, let's flip the page. Okay, now we're doing word problems. Thing is, word problems, they end up only ever being 2-step equations, which is awesome. More than that, more specifically than that, they always end up in the form of y equals mx plus b. So we need to think about what y, m, x, and b stand for in context. Okay, so first we need to say y is going to be my total. Oftentimes, if we look at this example, the word total is used. So I know that 31.69 is going to be my y, because notice everything else equals y. Everything else equals my total. When you go to the grocery store and you buy crackers and you buy cheese and you buy chicken and you buy milk, all that stuff equals your total. Okay, total is going to be by itself. After that, step 2 is I need to find the set price. Or another word would be the starting value or the initial value. Okay, this is always going to be something that you are just adding or subtracting. So notice my milk is a total already. It's not a rate. It's not something that I have to multiply to. It's just going to be something added onto my grocery list. Okay, so this is going to be my set price. Okay, your set price is always going to be your b value in y equals mx plus b. Okay. And the last thing is I need to find my rate. Your rate is always attached to words like per or each or the word rate, if it's that obvious. Okay, so I see 4 bags of potatoes that each cost the same amount. I know that this is going to be my m. Remember, m is the slope, also known as the rate of change. And lastly, x is always going to be what you're trying to find in these problems, but it is always going to be the input. That's the word we'll use, the input, what we plug in, okay, or what we need to figure out. So I have all my pieces. I have identified what they all are using keywords and such. Now I just need to put them in their spot. So Y was my 31.69 equals M was my rate attached to the word each. I don't know what X is, that's what I'm looking for, so it's going to stay X. Plus my just tacked on amount, my set price. So 4.09. Okay. This right here goes in this box on Delta Math. Just straight up. You don't have to do any math for this part. You're just putting it in the box. Afterwards, you need to solve for X. So I'm going to subtract my constant term. And I'm going to get 27.60 equals 4x. Divide by 4 on both sides. X is going to equal 6.75. So in my big box, I need to put the full equation before I have solved it. That's why it is a bigger box. And X all by itself equals 6.75. So what we're saying here is that 6.75 is how much each bag of potatoes costs. Okay, so each bag of potatoes is $6.75. Okay, let's practice a couple more times. The trickiest part is always setting up the problem, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I think we can solve for X after that. Under his cell phone plan, Schwab pays a flat cost of $39 per month. Okay, flat cost, that tells me, if we're thinking about cell phones, I know that no matter what, he's going to pay $39. That's always going to be tacked onto his bill, no matter what. Okay, that makes me think that is the start, or that's going to be my B value. And $4 per gigabyte. Remember, we said the word per is always our rate. So that is going to be my M value. He wants to keep his whole bill $45.40 per month. Notice this as per. I know I said per was always the rate, but we need to think about this in context of the question. His overall bill, he wants the total bill, hence the word, like, listen to what I'm saying, the total bill to be $45.40. So that is going to be my total. Write and solve an equation, blah, blah, blah. We're just going to write it. You're going to solve for X. So my total was $45.40 equals, my rate was $4 per gigabyte. Gigabyte is X plus the flat cost, $39. Okay. And from there I would solve for X. Please show your work. I got X to be 1.6. Last one. Marquez has a points card for the movie theater. He received 70 rewards just for signing up. So just for signing up, 70 reward points. That, to me, feels like the start. Because that is just for signing up. We haven't done anything yet. After that, it's 9.5 points for each visit. There's my each word. This, to me, is the rate because of the word each. And lastly, this feels like the total to me because that's what I'm trying to get to. Okay, he needs that for a free movie ticket. So that's my total points that I'm trying to get to. So 184 equals 9.5. It wants us to use the letter V. Oop, not equals. Plus 70. And then I would solve for V. And I would get V equals 12. Okay, So try the homework out. Email me if you have any questions. Thank you.